Okay, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier. I'm here. It's a Monday night, still technically. It's 11:39 Eastern Standard Time, and I saw a Monday night mystery movie, which turned out to be Ezra, which is this. It's a dramedy, I would say, drama comedy. Should you go see it? Should you go not? I think so. I think it's a good movie to see. I think this is a type of movie that pretty much anybody could enjoy. It's not too dramatic. It's not too goofy or whatever else. There's not violence, but it tells a real story. It's not. It's a real family thing, and I'll get into it. But yeah, I think you should go see this one. And what's the mystery movie? It's when the theaters, Regal here, AMC, and Cinemark have all done this. You pay $5 and you see a movie about 2 weeks before it comes out. So it's kind of a fun thing to do. Check your local listings to see if it's available to you. And tonight I went to Regal Cinema. Typically I see these at AMC, but the Regal was here, and I'm kind of warming up to this Regal Cinema. The only thing that it doesn't have, the one near me, is that the seats are like old school 1980s, 1990s, stiff as a board, non-reclining seats. The video and the audio are not quite as good as AMC, but it's still a nice theater, and the staff is really nice, and it's close by and so forth. So tonight I went there, and I also have that subscription plan. I paid, I believe, $160 at Halloween of 2023 for a year's subscription to this thing where I basically can see almost unlimited movies at Regal. There's a few exceptions for things like, you know, what do you call them? Those special screenings. You know what I'm talking about. Phantom special events. Those are not included. And like things like UFC and boxing that they've had there too were not included. So let me get into this review. What's the story about, Mike? It's about Ezra is the title character. He's the young kid over here. I think that the character was supposed to be maybe 12, maybe 13, maybe 11, something like that. And his parents are divorced. You might have seen this guy around the block, Bobby Cannavale. I think he was on a short-lived HBO show 7 or 8 years ago about the record industry. It was kind of a good show, but it got canned pretty quick. Bobby Cannavale, if I'm saying that right, and Robert De Niro plays his father. That's like the new big thing these days for like Italian American actors. Like they want to hire seemingly Robert De Niro to play their dad. And hey, look, if I could hire Robert De Niro to play my dad, I'd want to do that too. So I can't really blame anybody. But I remember a movie about 2 years ago where De Niro played some other Italian American comedian guy's father, and they went to like the hoity toity in law's house and shtick boom bam. Who else? Rose Byrne or Byrne. I can't say these names right. Rose Byrne, or Byron, whatever the fuck. Very attractive woman. She plays the ex-wife, and that's always a good thing. If you're going to make a movie, have an attractive ex-wife in there. And she's got a guy that plays her new boyfriend. Trying to find his name in this thing. I'm looking at the IMDb Pro on my other monitor here because I wanted to get some of these names right. Typically, as you might know, I do these Mike's Instant Movie reviews in the parking lot in my car. Tonight, I had a situation where I could not do that, and I just figured it might be fun to do this live and see if anyone's out there. If you happen to be watching, you can comment. You might have to go to the actual YouTube channel, One Man in a Camera Films. If you're watching this on Facebook, people say that all the time. They're watching on Facebook, they're watching on Twitter, and they say, gee whiz, Mike, I always comment and you don't reply. Well, that's because you're not going to the YouTube channel and leaving your comment in the proper fashion. Okay. God. So I'm trying to find whoever played the boyfriend guy here, and I'm not having much luck finding his name. But there was, that's another good thing about movies is you hire some guy to play the ex-wife's boyfriend and all that conflict. And actually, when I thought about the movie afterwards, and I guess I'll get into spoilers now, by the way. So if you want to see this movie, you don't want to hear the spoilers, I guess you have to check out now. But come back, go see the movie, and come back and watch the rest of the review, and we can compare notes as if we're friends. So. Uh, I can't find this fucking guy's name. Rainn Wilson from The Office. Always nice to see an Office actor in a movie that these office people don't get terribly typecast. But Rainn Wilson's had a pretty big career. I mean, I remember him back on the show 6 Feet Under way back when. He plays Nick. The other element of the story I should get into, what's the goddamn movie about? Well, you have this kid. It looks like level 1 autism. And I actually did some research on this real quick because I remember that they used to call something Asperger's syndrome. And then they officially got rid of the term Asperger's syndrome, which I didn't know they did that. And now they call Asperger's syndrome level 1 autism. And the reason is level 1 autism spectrum disorder is what folks used to call Asperger's. Apparently, the person that Asperger was named after, an Austrian pediatrician, Hans Asperger, um, the condition was named after him. Okay, he did not coin the term himself. The term was coined in 1981 by a British psychiatrist, Lorna Wing, and she named Asperger's syndrome after this Austrian pediatrician because he had done some work with 4 kids and kind of like diagnosed them with stuff. He says they were 4 children who were highly intelligent but socially awkward and physically clumsy. And then 40 years later, this lady, Lorna Wing, named what we used to call Asperger's after this guy. But it turns out that Hans Asperger was a real bastard. He was a Nazi, and he collaborated in murdering children with disabilities under the Third Reich. So I did not know this horrible history of Asperger's, but basically the psychiatric community stripped Asperger of the condition that he was named, that the condition was named after him. So, I mean, he was dead by the time that they named this condition in his honor. So he didn't care one way or the other. But I mean, I think that's kind of a good thing. You know what I mean? Like, I think in that situation, you know, you talk about cancel culture or whatever, but this fucking Nazi's been dead, you know, for 80 years. Well, I guess in 2013, so I guess 70 years at that point, or however long he's been dead. And does he really care one way or another if he's got a condition named after him? Not really, because he's dead. And it's not kind of a cool thing to name people with a condition, honoring, in a sense, an individual who killed children. So, you know, fuck them. So anyway, the kid in this movie, and yes, it has a bit of a Rain Man vibe. Okay, if you remember the Tom Cruise movie where Dustin Hoffman played the Rain Man, the brother Raymond, Rain Man, Raymond, with autism. I would say that Rain Man was probably a level 3. I'm just going by this one article. I'm not a psychiatrist, folks. I know I look like one. But basically, the kid in this movie, Ezra, looks like he might be level 1. And I would say that the Dustin Hoffman's Rain Man was level 3. And I guess the divisions here are that autism 1 is like, you know, the person needs some support to get by in life. And level 2 is they need a little bit more support. And then level 3 is, so the real thing here is level 1 ASD, requiring support. Level 2, requiring substantial support. Level 3, requiring very substantial support. Now, I would say, in my opinion, the kid in this movie, because he's pretty well articulate kid, and he actually has like some funny lines, and he's got, you know, a personality, and I like the kid. I mean, the character is a cool kid. So it seems to me that the character of Ezra would be a level 1 ASD, which formerly was the Asperger's syndrome. Okay, but not anymore, because Asperger is a son of a bitch. So he looks to me like he's somewhere between level 1 and level 2. But the other thing is, he's like a 12 or 13-year-old kid. So any kid at 12 or 13 requires support. You know what I mean? And he's also a child of divorce. His parents are squabbling. He's got this, you know, his hot mom's dating this guy, this prick. And his father's a comedian with aggressive anger disorder. And that's another thing that we get into in this movie, is that the father character has all these anger issues. And his father's character, played by DeNiro, he's got anger issues. So all these men have these anger issues. So this movie is multi-layered, you know, and it comes in at 100 minutes. I mean, I think they could have. A lot of times, I'm happy when a movie is over because I just want to like get on with my life. But in this scenario, I felt like we could have gone another 10 or 20 minutes. They do have a couple of little scenes after the end credits, but basically, what's this story about? It's about a father and a son. A father who has a son with a disability. The father kind of has his own disabilities. He's got rage. And when he's able to put that rage to good use, he puts it into his stand up comedy routine. Whoopi Goldberg, by the way, plays a comedy agent, I guess you'd say, like a comedy manager who's trying to get this guy on the Jimmy Kimmel show. That's a whole other part of the story. In case you've seen the previews or whatever, I guess the plot line basically, it's kind of complicated, but the kid, Ezra, is like lashing out at school, and he gets into a kind of a bad situation, and the school wants to give the kid Ritalin. They want to give him medications. I guess the kid's in a public school, and they're basically, for whatever reason, the kid is a warden of the state, even though his divorced parents, have custody of him. I guess because the kid's been diagnosed with autism, that they call him a warden of the state, which I didn't quite understand how that works. But basically, the state is saying, we want to put your kid on Ritalin. And the two divorced parents go to the teacher's office, and no, it's good cop, bad cop. The mom is playing good cop. The dad, Bobby Cannavale, is playing tough guy, macho guy. He doesn't want his kid to be put on Ritalin, and he ends up punching a school executive. And once he punches the executive, then he has to go to jail, and he makes a deal that they will not press the charges against him for assault if he shuts up and lets his kid get put on Ritalin, which he doesn't want to do. So then you have this whole other thing, which I have enough Italian American friends that I can say this. Italian American people kind of have a stereotype that's kind of true, that they don't particularly want to go to doctors. They don't particularly want to admit any type of weakness, or I need help, or I need medications. It's just not in the libido of the Italian people. That's what I've been told by a real live Italian friend of mine, that the Italian people do not want to go see the doctor, and they don't want to take pills, and they don't want their sons to take pills like Ritalin. So we kind of get into that type of deal. And furthermore, then the father is also like banned from seeing his son for 30 days. And then they take the kid, Ezra, to the school, and they get him jacked up on Ritalin. I should have mentioned earlier that there's a car accident that happens before this. And the reason the car accident happens is because Ezra hears his mother's boyfriend jokingly say that he's going to kill Ezra's father. Like, when people are in a couple and there's like an ex-spouse involved, and they're just joking around, and like the new boyfriend jokingly says he's going to have Ezra's father whacked. And it's a joke, you know what I mean? And we as adults get the humor, you know what I mean? But the poor little Ezra thinks that his father is really in trouble. He thinks that this, mommy's boyfriend's going to kill my dad. And, I think any kid would actually think this, to tell you the truth. I think any 12-year-old kid would kind of miss the humor in that. So the kid runs out of the house. He's scared. He's barefoot. He's wearing his pajamas. And then he's running down the street. I think this is supposed to be in New York City or some such thing. And a dog barks at him. And so the kid like runs into the fucking street, and he basically gets hit by a fucking taxi cab, which, I mean, is there still taxi cabs in the world? Apparently in this movie there are. So then the kid goes to the hospital, and then the whole deal with the Ritalin takes place. So now we catch up. The kid, Ezra, is going to, he's taken the Ritalin. He's at the school with the Ritalin. His father is kind of, sneaking around. At least the father cares. And he sees that his kid's all sad and drugged up. And then the father decides to kidnap his own son. And off we go to the road trip. So if you remember, the only movie I can compare this to, once again, is Rain Man. In Rain Man, Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman, as the brothers who just met each other, go on this road trip so that Cruise can get money somehow. I think they had like a will that they were inheriting, and Cruise had to do something with his brother to get the money. And in this one, it's kind of odd because the father, it doesn't seem like he has much of a fucking plan except just to take the kid and run. And we don't really know what he's going to do. and they've actually gained some traction. Like they're on the road, they're on the lam, but there's really no game plan that I can remember until he gets this phone call from the Whoopi Goldberg character. And at this point, I kind of ducked out of I had to get a drink. I had to use the facilities. So I kind of took a little break from the movie. So maybe I missed something, maybe I didn't. But the whole point was she's saying, "Hey, Mr. Comedian guy, Jimmy Kimmel wants to book you on the show." And blah blah blah. So now his road trip, which has already started, has got some direction. That if I can get my son and myself to LA, I can be on the Jimmy Kimmel show. I can advance my career. I can become a famous comedian, and I can pay some of these, bills, whether they're the private education bills. There's also a feeling that the character of the dad wants to get his ex-wife back. Max is the name of the father. That's Bobby's character. He wants to get his ex-wife back. It's kind of the feeling. Like it kind of feels like he knows that he screwed things up. Maybe he was too off the handle with his anger. Who knows? But he doesn't like this new boyfriend guy, and he kind of hits on his ex-wife, and she's trying to hold him off at bay. Blah blah blah. So we're off to the races, and we have this cute little story. It's kind of a fun road trip story. Like if you like road trip movies, this is an interesting one. It's the middle-aged comedian father who's got anger issues, and he's got his like 12, 13-year-old autism son. And one of their first places is in Michigan, where they visit Nick, who's played by Rainn Wilson. And Rainn Wilson's character has a dare I say, African American nun girlfriend of sorts, which you just have to get there to believe that. I did notice something that people have been taking note of. Uh, Not Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle and others have been noticing this trend in television commercials. Like every single television commercial, it's interracial couples. Well, in this movie, it's like back to back. Like you have the Rainn Wilson, and he's got like the African American nun pseudo girlfriend, and then the very next scene, we're in a stand up comedy club, and it's a once again it's a interracial. This time it's a black man and a white woman as a interracial couple. So it's like, wow, this film is really checking those boxes, which is fine. It was just interesting to me because once I heard who was it? It was Dave Chappelle talking about that, I believe, or maybe it was Chris Rock. Who the fuck knows it anymore? So, but basically, one of them was pointing this trend that you can't have couples with the same skin complexion. Like that's not politically correct anymore. You have to have interracial couples. So, and I'm not opposed to it. I'm just because it used to be the other way. It used to be like 50 or 60 years ago. They would not do that on television. And I think the show The Jeffersons with Lionel and Jenny, and I believe Jenny's parents were Tom and his wife, who were an interracial couple. Anyway, I'm going down the pyramid here. I'm going down the rabbit hole. But in any event, we're going back to the comedy thing. Max, he also kind of uses his son as almost like a comedy partner. That's why the kid in this movie, and I don't know if this young actor, William A. Fitzgerald as Ezra, I couldn't tell if he's really got low-level autism in real life. I kind of think that he doesn't, because I say that in a couple of times in the movie, I wouldn't say that he broke character, but it kind of seems like the kid is not like a real life kid who has low level autism. It seems like he's like a really good actor who's just doing his job, which is fine. I mean, if you remember 15 years ago, was it I Am Sam? Sean Penn played a gentleman with some type of disorder, some type of thing. And he had like his little daughter. I think that was Dakota Fanning's first movie. And so, and I'm also thinking of that line from Tropic Thunder, if you know what I'm talking about. But basically, Sean Penn and I Am Sam, that seemed to be a good movie. And also another element of this, of like the father he's got the condition and he's trying to raise his kid. And will the state allow him to do that? So there's all these fun movies. Like this is always like a good go-to type of movie, is like the person with the mental condition and some other person and how they deal with each other. And then we all kind of feel good about ourselves. And then when we leave the theater with a tear in our eye and we think we're going to be better people because we saw this movie, and we're not. We're just the same old assholes as we were when we went in 2 hours earlier. But in any event, um, there are some dramatic flaws in this movie as far as like reality goes. I mean, because this is not supposed to be a fantasy movie or anything. Basically, at one point, once again, fucking spoilers, but they put an Amber Alert out for this kid, right? They tell us that there's an Amber Alert, like the police, the feds are on this case, and they're putting Max and his son on the TV screens that they're seeing on their trips. Now, we don't have any situations where anyone gets an irritating, buzz on their phone and they see that. That could have would have been good because when I get the Amber Alerts now, there's always like a buzz on the phone. But with this situation, we don't see any of the buzz on the phone, but they do start seeing themselves on the TV. And at that point, in reality, I would think that the Max character would be smart enough to give up. You know what I mean? And once again, this is a movie. I get that. But it just seems like logically, once you see that you're on the Amber Alert thing, if you're a good person, you're like, okay, I've gone too far with this. But this is the exploration of the film. I mean, this is why we're here, is because Max is so stubborn and pig-headed, and he's a little bit delusional himself, and he's got these anger issues. And so you're kind of wondering, hey, even if the son Ezra wasn't born with this condition, he might have been kind of fucked up anyway, because like, his grandfather's kind of fucked up. We learned he's kind of, his father's fucked up, and the poor wife. And the whole time I'm watching this movie, I was thinking she was the lady from This Is 40, that actress, the one with the husband, Judd Apatow. Emily Mann with two N's. Okay, that's her name. I kept thinking I was looking at Emily Mann for 2 hours, and it's not Emily Mann at all. It's Rose Byrne. You know what I mean? So all these people with all these faces, it's hard to keep up with them. But I thought I was watching because if you look at her, this Rose Byrne, have you seen these things where it's like this asshole actor looks like this asshole actor? Like you could put Rose Byrne and Emily Mann as like, hey, it's the same person, and they're both very lovely and all that crap. Rose Byrne has been in Spy, which I don't think I saw, Insidious, which I did see, Neighbors, which I kind of saw, and Bridesmaids, which I've seen. Yeah, but she's been around the block. What else? I like the movie. I mean, this movie, I think it'll give you a little lump in your throat if you've been a father, if you've been a son. I mean, even with this condition and stuff, like I said, I think it was a smart move by the filmmakers to give our kid here the level 1 autism, because he's able to communicate. You know what I mean? Like with Rain Man, it's a good movie, but you get kind of sick of Raymond or Rain Man after a while. You know what I mean? And that movie's pretty long. So I think with this one, the fact that he's got seemingly the level 1, level 2, allows this character to do some stuff. If he had just been, really severely autistic, it might have been a harder watch. But the way that the movie is now, he's able to get some jokes in. He's got some personality. He even has a little bit of romance. You know what I mean? And the other lady shows up for a scene, Vera Farmiga. She shows up in this thing, which is kind of nice. She's one of those actresses that I like. She kind of got to be Vera Farmiga got to be like kind of popular and famous at a little bit of an older age. So it's kind of too bad because I would have liked to have seen more from her in her career. And now she's kind of like positioned in this kind of, supporting, almost a cameo type of role. And it wasn't that long ago. I mean, she's done all these movies. She's been in the Up in the Air, The Departed, Orphan. She's in all these awesome movies. God, you know what I'm talking about. The horror movies, Annabelle and The Conjuring and all that stuff. God in heaven. So anyway, I like this movie. It's a good movie. I would say go see it. I'd say if you have your Monday nights available and open, this $5 thing, it's open to anybody, like wherever you are. If there's an AMC, a Regency, or a Cinemark theater in your neighborhood, check to see if they're doing the Monday mystery movie thing. And you might be saying, well, what movie am I going to see? You don't know. That's the whole point. It's a mystery. So you pay your $5. I use the app, but you don't have to have the app or the subscription. You just go, you pay the $5 and then they give you some surprising movie, like some movie that you're advanced. It's advanced. You've seen it before everybody else. And that's why we're here. So, I mean, this movie, by the time it comes out to the general public, I think it's May 27th. But I've already seen it. I can mark that off my list of things to do. And that's about it, folks. So I appreciate you being here. I'm kind of in a good mood tonight. I mean, I will be going to I've got a short film of my own that's playing at the Fort Myers Film Festival. Fort Myers, I don't know if it's the Fort Myers International Film Festival or just the Fort Myers Film Festival in Fort Myers, Florida. I'll be going there on Thursday. My movie will be playing, but you can see it right now in the comfort of your own home or on your own phone for free, or you can project it on your TV. Many Keys, The Heartbreak Monologue. It's over there on One Man and a Camera Films. I don't need to provide a link. You can just go to One Man and a Camera Films, the number one, space man, space and space a space camera, space films. I was trying to tell somebody that a few days ago, and they kept trying to put all the words together. No, it's separate words. Okay, so the first one's a number, it's one, and then Man in a Camera Films, and just watch Many Keys, The Heartbreak Monologue, and you can tell me how great it is. And you're wondering, well, gee whiz, Mike, how'd you make that movie? It's extracted from my A Distance from Avalon, When the Dying and the Dead Reunite, this book that I wrote, okay, which you can purchase on Amazon and all these wonderful things. And that's it, folks. So it's your buddy Mike Messier. I'm checking out. It's interesting. I've been watching. I'm watching you watch me. There's a pretty good viewership count here for this Mike's Instant Movie Review, but nobody cared to comment. And I know what's going to happen. I'm going to go to Facebook. I'm going to go to Twitter, and there's going to be all these goddamn comments, and people are going to say, Mike, you're not responding to me, because you have to go to the actual YouTube video and chat in the chat. That's how it works, typically. In any event, folks, thanks for watching. Go see this movie when it comes out. I think it's good. I enjoyed it. And to whoever the hell created this thing, let me look at these names. Tony something or other. Two Tonys. Tony Goldwyn was the director. The writer was Tony Spiridakis. A lot of hard names to pronounce tonight. All these names: Rose Byrne, Vera Farmiga, Bobby Cannavale. Where the hell do these names come from? Rainn Wilson with two N's. William A. Fitzgerald. I mean, that's a very mature name for like a 12-year-old kid. But yeah, the movie was good. I enjoyed it. Ezra, go see it. I'll see you later.